Alright, back again. 2 days later. About 2 days later. 1 day, I guess 24 hours. But I went ahead and pulled these off, put some decent, better gaskets in it, and I went and I made the intake tube. The hat, I don't know if you can see it, but there's the hat to the intake. I'm probably going to have to run some sealant around it to get it to seal it better. My welder kind of sucks, so don't judge. Anyways, I got the hat made, and then I just used the regular air cleaner top to kind of snug her down, get her tightened up on there. And not only that, but we have exhaust going out now. And I'm gonna still have to weld that up, make some adapters that weld off this, and I can bolt it down real good and snug. On my O2 sensor, couldn't find an adapter, so I ended up taking a nut that was the right thread, and I welded it to the manifold. And that's where my O2 is going in. It's all hooked up. AFR gauge. I'm going to have to move this over, I think, a bit, so it's not rubbing on it. And I went ahead and I copper coat my gaskets right here. So those are all sealed up nice and tight. All the exhaust is done to the turbo. That part's done. It's not coming off again. It really wasn't that hard to get it off. I just think that now that I got it good and sealed up, there's no point in taking it off unless I have to. I went ahead and made my fitting, my bung fitting for the drain on the turbo. And I'm just running this into here for now. And it's going to come over, and I'm just going to dump it right back into here with the little brass fitting. And that'll return to the oil pan. Another thing I had to do, I had a bit of an oil leak on my pan from originally when I put this motor in. The motor mounts had sagged, and the oil pan was rubbing on the crossmember. Well, I drove it for like a year like that, and I ended up, when I did this project, I took the engine hoist and I lifted this up, and we just made our own solid motor mounts. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I think we're going to be okay on that. And it's tied down over into here. I don't know if you can really see right there. I still have to go in the back here. You can see where that square flange is. I got to take that off because that's where my crossover came through before. Well, now my crossover is on the front, so I got to take that off and make another adapter flange, and then put my glass pack and the rest of my exhaust on going out the back. On this side, I basically just ran that pipe that I'd cut off the manifold before, and I ran it to some flex pipe coming up, and it's pretty tight in there. It doesn't rub on the steering though. Surprisingly, I can put my finger in between there. Talk about close tolerances. I have to be honest though, when I started this project, I didn't think that I was going to be able to get a turbo in this. It was just so tight. And that's the crazy thing is, this body style versus the Trooper is actually, I believe it's 4 inches wider in the engine compartment. And it's probably about 6 inches wider than an S10 in the engine compartment. So for all you guys out there who have S10s, that's something that you might want to think about. I had ended up running my exhaust up here because there was no way I could run it back there unless I just took the motor and transmission and I moved it forward like 4 inches, which I could have done and it would have worked fine, but it just seemed like too much work at the time. I'd rather just do it the way I did it and test this out first. I did start it up and I stuck my hand over this and hit the gas, and let's just say this, it's blowing quite a bit of air. It spools pretty quick. Anyways, I still have to make the alternator bracket over here, just a secondary one. And oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys. So that bracket right there that I ended up mounting this alternator to was just the smog pump bracket. I ended up reusing the smog pump bracket and mounting the alternator. I think it's upside down actually, or no it's not, it's right. But anyways, I'm just gonna have to take those 2 bolts out and then unplug the alternator, and then I can pull that out in one assembly straight out the front this way, and while it's in position, then I can build the bracket on the bench and be done with it. I do have a heat shield. Let's see if I can get it on here. I don't know if it's going to fit well right now. But I do have a heat shield that can go on up here. The only issue I ran into was it was interfering with the belt. So for now, I'm not going to run it. See how it does. If it melts the belt, okay, it was a free belt. I can always get another one. I think they're like $2 at Pull and Save in Spokane. But yeah, I'll go ahead and tack this exhaust up a little bit and we'll build that bracket and I'll get back with you guys. Okay, so I got the alternator out, and like I said, I just pulled those 2 bolts. The whole bracket came out. It actually found this random bracket just laying on this table here. I think it actually did come from this engine somewhere. But I just had to drill one of the holes out and it fit perfectly where it needed to be. And I put a spacer in there. And then I'm just going to make this right here on like that for now and bolt this in. And that should just keep the alternator from moving. I was going to weld it, but I'm thinking that that's going to be a bad idea right now. I want to test it first and mark it out if it does work, because if I weld it right now, the alternator is attached to this and the positive is not hooked up to the alternator. So the alternator is not protected from electrical current right now. So we're just going to put that in there. I think it'll be fine for it at the moment. Not really that big of a deal. I just made a little notch on the end there. So this goes in, slides all the way in, and like that, and then it bolts into the engine and should be good to go. I'll put it on and I'll let you guys know how it all fits. If it fits good, I'll go ahead and throw the belt on and we'll check the alignment. Alright, I'll see you over there. Alright, back again here. And I got the alternator back in, mounted up. Looks pretty good. It's going to need some revision. Let's just put it that way. But I think it'll be okay for now. I need to make it a little bit longer on the adjustment, so it's not right up against the exhaust, but it does have a fan on it. So it should stay at least somewhat cool. I got the belt back on. And as far as I can tell, it looks pretty straight. This is a bit too long. I made this a bit too long, so I'll have to move it back. I did add some coolant, and it didn't even take... Oh, I added water, not coolant. It didn't even take a full gallon of water, so there was still quite a bit of antifreeze left in this. And I had to put some more oil back in it. But I guess we'll just go ahead and start it up and see what our AFRs are and listen to her sing. So far we're good. Sounds good. I think it sounds a little different. What do you guys think? We may just get away with this. I don't have the wastegate hooked up, but if I'm right about this turbo, I think it's only at 7 psi anyways. And I wanted to let you guys know that I have not gapped the rings in this engine. So we're just running a bare stock engine with a turbo setup on it. And no rev limiter or two-step. I think we're gonna be okay. Ooh, she went a little lean there, did you see that? Overall though, I think we're gonna be good. Yeah. It's gonna be a little smoky right now because I have oil burning off the exhaust, but I'll keep an eye on it, make sure we don't get no fires. So there you go, turbocharged 2.8. Yeah, I did a little fire check, we look fine. I had a little bit of oil burning off over there in the manifold, nothing big deal. So an update kind of on what's left to do. Still have to get an air cleaner before I can drive this. Just don't have an air cleaner handy. I'm gonna have to go either buy one, those cone filters, or would you guys like to see me put the stock airbox cool air intake back in this with the stock Isuzu filter, because it actually mounts right here. You can see one of the holes, and then I can just get another tube like that and do a little 90 with it and run it back into the engine. That would be super cool, I think, because then it would have cool air going into the turbo before it gets boosted. And still have to finish up the exhaust on this. We got most of it done. I have to go underneath, and I think I showed you guys earlier, I have to take that one pipe off and make a flange and run my exhaust all the way to the back, so we're not getting fumigated. And then, I don't know, I need to hook a boost gauge up and see what we're making. This is supposed to have a pressure line that comes off of this, that I guess whenever you make a certain amount of boost, it pushes this forward and opens up the wastegate. I don't know, let me guys know what you want to see. I mean, if I just give it full boost, we might not have an engine for very long. Especially because I didn't gap the rings. I think we'll just keep it low boost. That's what I want to do for now. It sounds really good. Yeah, like I said, and then once we get that done, put the air cleaner on, we can take this out for a drive. And I'll go take it mudding. I can put the fan back on. I'm sure... Oh, and that's the other thing. I have to move this back. It was about ready to walk off on that last little send there. But a lot of you are probably thinking, like, well, isn't that going to burn through the belt? The belt's actually sitting on it right now, and it didn't even burn it. I think that'll probably be fine how it is. Yeah, adjust that. But, yeah, once I move that back, it should kind of put this back in alignment with this pulley. I put some power steering fluid in it. You gotta have power steering, man. Especially when you're running 33-inch good Wranglers. And if you don't believe me, it's 33, 12, 5, 15 right on there. These rims are just ridiculous. So, do that. I think... Really, and then I have to hook the front driveline back up, but other than that, I think we're going to be good to go. So hopefully I'll be posting a new video here in the next few days. And we're going to take this thing out and see how she does on the highway. Alright, so like, share, and subscribe.